In this video, I'm going to show you how to solve the ALEKS problem called adding or subtracting and multiplying or dividing measurements. It looks like there are two different versions of this problem, and this version that we're looking at, I believe, is the harder of the two. I'm going to show you how to solve this version of the problem, and I'm also going to talk about how you would solve the other version of the problem. In this version of the problem, ALEKS is asking you to determine what concentration a student should write down in their lab notebook. So it's asking us to calculate what concentration. Now, concentration, I'm just going to abbreviate C, is calculated by taking the mass of something and dividing it by the volume of solution that was added to that particular mass. So to calculate the concentration, we need to know the mass and we also need to know the volume. Take a look at the units that ALEKS is giving us. It's a little bit of a hint. So it is saying grams times milliliter to the -1. That is the same as saying grams over milliliters. And those are definitely units that are consistent with the equation that I've written over here. We're going to need to know the mass in grams of some substance, and we're going to divide that by the volume of some sort of liquid in units of milliliters. So let's take a look at what's going on in this problem. This says that a student has a graduated cylinder. That's a measuring device. It's like a measuring cup kind of. And it says that when it is empty, the weight of that graduated cylinder is 4.2 grams. Then it says that the student puts a solid substance in there. Don't worry about what it is. It doesn't matter. And weighs it. When that substance is added, the cylinder weighs 10.68 grams. So that 10.68 grams is the mass of the graduated cylinder, I'm just going to call it GC, plus that solid all together. The graduated cylinder plus the solid has a combined total weight of 10.68 grams. We know that the graduated cylinder itself weighs 4.8 grams, so we have enough information to figure out the mass of that solid. Let me rewrite this equation up here. Graduated cylinder plus the solid substance is 10.68 grams. The problem is telling us that the graduated cylinder, empty, all by itself, weighs 4.2 grams, and so the only thing that we don't know is the mass of the solid, and we're going to be able to figure that out pretty easily. It's kind of late, so I'm going to use a calculator to do this because I don't trust my head. 10.68 minus 4.2, this tells us that the mass of our solid is 6.48 grams. That is the number that we're going to use to calculate the concentration, 6.48 grams. So that's half of it figured out. Now we need to figure out what the volume is in milliliters. So reading on to the next bullet point, it says we add water, dissolve it, read the total volume of the solution. The total volume of the solution is 66.5 milliliters. That is the volume, 66.5 milliliters. All that we need to do now is just use the calculator to do that math for us. And I get 0.0974 to the correct number of significant figures. That is going to be 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. That's going to be 3 sig figs, which is what we have right here, grams per milliliter. And my answer is 0.0974. Now, like I said, there are two versions of the problem. The second version of the problem, as far as I can see, just gives you 3 or 4, gives you a few pieces of data, and it asks you to take the average of that data, which seems bizarrely easier than this version of the problem. So if you're looking at that version of the problem where it's asking you to calculate the average of your data, what you're going to do is add up all the numbers together. This is just the average or the mean. You're going to take all of the data points and you're going to add them all up, and then you're going to divide by the total number of data points. So what I mean by that is if you had like 3 pieces of data, you would add all of those 3 pieces of data up. Data point number 1 plus data point number 2 plus data point number 3, and then you would divide by the total number of data points, which is 3. And like I said, that seems kind of weirdly simple compared to this problem. So I guess if you end up with this one, that's good.